Schewels, I'm here today to talk to you about our newest addition to your lineup, the Kaylees. I'm really excited about these beds because they hit the sweet spot, that $14.99 to $16.99 spot in your lineup. The Kaylees were designed to actually complement the Coppers to a certain extent. The Coppers are the number one selling beds in the nation for us and in Europe. The Kaylees are number two. So you have our two top selling lineups with these two beds. I will talk about the Kaylees primarily because these are, most of the stores are getting it on the floor right now, but these beds are substantial. What we did, in the past, we've always tried to create beds that do what they're supposed to do. In other words, put you in the proper position, give you conformability, pressure relief, and put everything in a bed that can make you sleep better. This was the goal of bedding companies for the last 25 years, to really make the beds what they're supposed to do. And we've achieved that. So what I'm going to do here is kind of build this bed to show you. We're going to offer the Kaylees and a choice at firm and plush, or medium, and a firm. And the firm's extra firm, the medium's a nice medium, and then of course the super pillow top, which is the plush. Now, we start with this bed. I'm going to kind of build it up from the bottom for you. We start with a pocketed coil system. Now, the advantages of a pocketed coil system is it gives you great conformability. It gives you almost zero motion and movement. So these are benefits that help you sleep. But we do something very different. This goes back to 1926. This was our key feature in all our beds, and it still is. Simply put, more in the middle. Now, what does more in the middle mean? If you look at a bed, anybody's bed, and say, for example, I'm 270 pounds. When I lay on a bed, a brand new bed, and it's not a back supporter mattress, I'm already sagging from day one, and it just eventually gets worse. Now, working on a retail floor, the biggest reason people replace a bed is sagging. What the back supporter mattress does is put 30% more steel and coils in the center third. Now, what happens when you do that, you're totally balanced. In other words, you're perfect alignment whether you're on your side or your back. This is where the mattress, the center spring system becomes integral part of building this bed. It does great conforming, pressure relief, and more in the middle. Perfect unit. These are heavy duty units. These are remarkable units. You'll never have any trouble out of them. Then, we put several layers of convoluted foam. Convoluted foam is sort of sculpted foam. It's kind of the state of the art now in regular foams. And then these are hybrids, hybrid beds. In other words, a combination of innerspring and cool gel memory foam. So we have a layer of cool gel memory foam comes on top of that. But here's where things start to vary. We have our new cool airy foam, I call it, that circulates air very, very well above the cool gel memory foam. And then it's quilted into the surface of a cover that has TCM. In other words, specially treated to be cooling effects. Now, all of y'all are familiar with our Arctic beds. The beauty of these are, yes, they have a cool cover. It's the fibers below and what we put below that make it work. In other words, you can put a cool cover on something, it feels that all right, but it goes away. With the fibers and backing like these beds have, you feel that completely when you're sleeping and through many layers. That's the beauty of that treatment. These beds are state of the art. These beds would be our top of the line beds if it wasn't for the Coppers. The Coppers are a lot of technology, but here, these is the basic things we do to make a bed as good as it possibly can get. You get above this, you're adding things that maybe not necessary. But here, I put these beds up against anybody's $2,000 beds all day long. They feel substantial. When you sit on these beds, you have a foam encased edge that is very durable. You're not going to sink down in it. When you lay on these beds, you can sleep to the edge, and you also know that you're being more support in the middle. Even this extra firm bed conforms to you in pressure relief. That's unusual. See, there's two different types people think on extra firm beds. One, it's hard. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be. They can be firm, which this bed is, but you have to have the conforming and the pressure relief. in addition to that, a hard bed is just hard. Here you can sleep on this bed and be perfectly comfortable. That's the firm. And here is the medium. This bed's fantastic. Same build, just a great medium feel. And when you, like I said, I can't say enough, when you sit on these beds and lay on these beds, the first thing you feel is how substantial and well built they are. They stand out, you feel it, you see it. And you've heard me say over and over again, when a customer can see or feel a difference, they'll pay the money. And that's what we've done here. These beds offer the best value we've ever had at a price point that is kind of the magic price point now. $14.99 is the middle, believe it or not. So these two beds here, I think you will do a lot of business on at $14.99. But how do we step up to the Super Pillow Top? The Super Pillow Top is our plush bed. Now this is going to be $16.99. But we do some things very differently. We have the same build up, the same cool technology, everything, except in the pillow top, we're adding another layer of coils. In other words, micro coil, and that's going to be quilted into the surf top, along with the same cool effects on it. But here's what's really unique about this. This jumps up to about 2,500 coils when you put this together. But this micro coil system has a more in the middle too. So on the Super Pillow Top, you have double more in the middles. This is something we've never done. I think it's very creative. Again, that added support in that pillow top, because the pillow top is where people get a little afraid of, the upholstery, maybe too soft. No, this has all the support we talked about, all the conformability and pressure relieving we talked about. But people buy for three reasons: comfort, support, and durability. These beds offer all of that at a price point that can be, I think, is amazing. I think if you go out there and look around and look at beds at these price points, there's nothing that compares to them. These beds will be great sellers for you, particularly if you're coming off the copper. You're showing the copper, and they don't want to spend that kind of money. You're dropping down $1,000 for this bed. Take a look. Get on them, try them. I think you'll be well pleased with what will happen here. And also, on the PM structure, we're going to have $40 PMs on these two and a $50 on this. So it's a good money-making opportunity also. Thank you.